This is showing how to set up OpenRGB to control lighting for a Linux Mint 22.2 system. This is a system running, and there's a Logitech RGB keyboard that's the lighting is controlled, and then as you can see there's RGB fans and a water cooler that has RGB control. So the problem is OpenRGB works with these devices, and you can see other places where to install OpenRGB. It's in the software manager, and then you have to install yet another thing from the repository to get support for the devices. But I don't need to talk about that here. The problem here is, how do you set this up so when you restart the system or resume the system, it turns the lighting back on? So let's just observe that it does that. So first of all, let's shut it down. I had the screen recording running from before. It's okay. Okay, so it shut down, and we can start it again. And you'll notice it comes up, the lighting goes to default mode, and then in about 3 seconds, it goes to there. OpenRGB ran and set the correct profile for all the devices. Huh. Well, not exactly. The fans didn't come up with the right color. So let's make sure that we load this profile. Oh, if we load the profile, it works. That's weird. That is very weird. Okay, well, anyway. That's what it was supposed to have done when it rebooted. Okay, if we sleep it, and then resume it, let's see what happens. Okay, that worked. That came back to the right colors. Let's try this booting again. Shut down. That's weird. I said shut down and the fans did not shut down. It's not shut down yet. Did I hit the wrong button? Oh, finally. Wow. Okay. Took a long time. Let's reboot. Okay, the keyboard seems to have come. Yeah, there's the keyboard. And the fans. Everybody's on the right colors again. I don't understand. Anyway, you can see that at least it doesn't come back dark or with the defaults. The default keyboard lighting is this breathing spectrum thing that I didn't particularly like. Okay, so now let's go see how this is done on the by putting scripts into the system itself. All right, I think this is recording now. Let's look at the settings you need to do to use OpenRGB. Here's OpenRGB. To use this with Linux Mint, we're running Linux Mint 2.2, 22.2 on a system with RGB lighting. So we've got the RAM set up, we've got the keyboard set up, and we've got the RAM is just the default. I didn't change that. And this is the motherboard. And the RGB fans and the Thermaltake water cooler are all daisy chained off the motherboard. So you save a profile. I've called it the model number of the keyboard, but all this is saved in that profile. And so let's look at how you set things up so when you reboot, it comes back. Oh, just a second here. Apparently, I do not have the keyboard actually saved. With everything else. Okay. If you make any changes and save the profile, you need to make changes to everything and save it again. Also, with the system I'm using, the scheme I'm using, you need to leave this name the same. Okay, so the first thing is how do you re-enable this so that the lighting comes on when you boot the system? And that is done with startup. So here's the startup applications. And the second one here is OpenRGB. Notice I've got a delay set for 3 seconds. So let's open this up. Okay, that does it. Here's this where you put the startup delay. OpenRGB was installed with the software manager, and it was installed or it was provided with Flatpak. So in order to run it with a script, you need to run it using Flatpak. So this is the way to do that. Now the way I've found to do that was, let me see what thing, OpenRGB. Okay, so if you examine this, you see that there's this long complicated command. So I've copied this long complicated command into the startup program, and I've added the modifier dash profile G213, which is the name we used for the profile when we saved it. Okay, so that's how you make things start when you boot the system. Make the RGB lighting profile start up when you boot the system. So the other problem is that you need to restart OpenRGB when you come back from sleep. So if you sleep the system and then you wake it, or they call it suspend, when you suspend the system and then resume it, you want it to come back and start the lighting. So apparently there are multiple ways that Linux does this. The way that Ubuntu does it is a systemd thing. So this forum post here showed me how to do this. The key is to put the script in /usr/lib/systemd/system-sleep. So let's go there and look. Okay, we have to do it again. All right, fine. So let's go there and look. So file system. /usr/lib/systemd /system-sleep. So here's where we put this bash script called bsh OpenRGB system sleep. Okay, let's open this with a text editor and have a look at it. I think it's overly complicated. I don't think it needs to be this complicated, but in case the first parameter, the way this thing is called, I sudoed to my name. I'm not sure we need to do that. I was trying to debug this when I didn't know where to put it. I think all you really need to do is this command. But this stuff is stored under my name, so, under the user. So if you do this, you'll need to change this to the correct user. And then again, I put it back. I don't think I need to do that. So that's the script that works. And I haven't bothered to simplify it. So that solution actually works for all the cases. So that should do it. Thank you.